Welcome to In the Spotlight with your host, Zachary Dunn.
Hello everyone, I'm Zachary Dunn, and I'm here today with a very special guest, Ms. Julie Casimo of the Student Services and Academic Career Enrichment Center. Ms. Julie Casimo, thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you for speaking with me today.
Absolutely. If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to know just a little bit about you before we begin talking about the Student Services and Academic Career Enrichment Center. How long have you been working with the department?
Sure. I have been here actually 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
I started as director of the Career Development Office, and then in 2015 became director of the Academic and Career Enrichment Center.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I understand the Academic Career Enrichment Center, it's at least 2 different departments put together?
At least it basically has 3 main functions.
Mm-hmm.
It has the academic support services, and those are all of your learning specialists or any work that we do one-on-one with students, our peer tutoring center. Then there's the second function, which is our accommodations. So any students that require accommodations because they may have a disability or special need, we work with those students. And the third function is career services.
Oh. And regarding accommodations, I believe I heard elsewhere, because I know we have a whole lot of student athletes here at this campus. Say one of them sustains an injury, they can go to you and have accommodations. What with test dates or?
Yeah, so that's correct. There are cases where there might be some temporary accommodations that an athlete needs. For example, they break an arm and they need a scribe.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do something like that. Or maybe they have a temporary concussion and they may need some extra help or extended time on tests, mm-hmm. or a noise-free environment to take their exams. So yes, we help with accommodations that are temporary and both permanent.
Oh, that's wonderful. What kind of accommodations do you have for students who English may not be their first language?
Oh, okay. So sometimes students whose English is not the first language, they may need help with writing help or mm-hmm. anything with they might want to brush up on presentation skills. Mm-hmm. So we have learning specialists in the Writing Center or in the center itself, in the ACE Center, mm-hmm. who will help them with that. So maybe they want their papers reviewed and we'll submit an initial draft and then we can review it, and so they can turn in a really nice quality paper. Also, sometimes we have a learning specialist that may work one-on-one with them mm-hmm. if they have to do a presentation in a classroom and are feeling uncomfortable just going through what is the best strategy for them to present themselves in the classroom. Mm-hmm. So that's an example of what we might do for somebody whose English isn't the first language.
Oh. So there's a whole lot of workshops sponsored through the center, right?
Oh, there's tons of workshops sponsored through the center. There's a lot of career-related workshops teaching students how to write resumes, cover letters. Mm-hmm. There's writing workshops. We teach a study skills workshop series mm-hmm. in each semester, and that focuses on things like time management, study skills, how to take tests effectively. There's a career component to it. Mm-hmm. There's a stress management workshop. So there are workshops that students can take have the opportunity to pursue all semester long.
Mm-hmm. Sounds great. We'll be right back with more.
Anxiety, depression, relationship issues. Benedictine's Counseling Center is a free and safe place for students to seek help. Qualified professionals work with students one-on-one, and the best part, it's all confidential. Records are kept behind locked doors, so you never have to worry about them affecting your future. And, introducing the newest member of the Counseling Center, Gertie, our certified therapy dog here to make students feel loved and secured. If you or someone you care about is suffering, don't be afraid to seek help. Our doors are always open.
Welcome to Ben News. I'm Zachary Dunn.
And I'm Zagira Majid. Here are this month's top stories. At this year's Teach-In, students campus-wide came together and learned about how they could be better stewards of the planet and be more inclusive of each other. Dr. Susan Buchanan was one of the featured speakers at the event. Buchanan is an expert in health problems related to toxic substances and other environmental hazards in the workplace or community. Eye of the Eagle's Sajina Jacob had the opportunity to speak with her about these issues.
So, Dr. Buchanan, how do you think environmental justice plays itself out in the school system?
Some of it is the topic of food and where food comes from and which food is affordable. So school systems need to save money in the food that they buy. And so I worry about the quality of that food, and are they getting food that is not organic? Probably they're not getting organic food because it's more expensive. So in that sense, the school systems that don't have the money to buy really nice food might be buying food that's more contaminated or might have higher pesticides because it's not organic. And I worry about the students who come to the school who are trying to succeed at school but might be from homes that have a lot of lead in them, or because they have paint deteriorating in their homes, and so they have higher lead levels, and then that's going to make it harder for them to succeed in school. And we know that kids who are from lower income families are higher risk for having higher lead levels.
And is there anything we as students can do to prevent that kind of stuff from happening?
Well, we did some exercises today about how to take back some power and get things changed in your community. And it doesn't matter if you're a science major or a doctor or a PhD. You don't have to be any of those to make change in your community. You just need to raise your voice. And when groups of people raise their voices, they can make big change.
Okay. And so I know during our concurrent session you spoke about how students can be active by calling their congressman. Is there anything you want to say to the entire student body about that?
I guess I would just spread that word far and wide. We went through this exercise where I asked everybody at this breakout session to call their member of Congress about some issue. Those first couple times you get really nervous and you feel awkward and just want to get off the phone as quickly as possible. But this was just to get everybody over that first hump of those nerves of dialing and having someone in Washington answer the phone that's at Senator Durbin's or Senator Duckworth's office, for example. So I would encourage everybody to do it. My cell phone, I've got Duckworth, I've got Durbin, and Danny Davis is my congressman. I have those numbers in the contacts on my phone so that whenever something's happening in Washington I'm not happy about, I just pull up my contacts and dial their office and make my voice heard.
Well, thank you so much for coming to our university today. We really appreciated you having you here.
It's been great to be here. Thank you.
This has been Sajina Jacob with Eye of the Eagle.
Benedictine recently held its annual Teach-In conference regarding social justice. The topics included equality, diversity, and sustainability within our community. The public health, medicine, and activism segment encouraged students to make a difference by reaching out to local politicians with troublesome issues within their neighborhoods. Eye of the Eagle's Justine Stamper spoke with keynote speaker Dr. Susan Buchanan about her upcoming plans to run for a seat as village trustee of Oak Park.
Now, what inspired you to run?
Well, this is part of my stump speech, too, is that after the last presidential election, I was spurred to action, specifically by President Obama in his going away speech said, if you don't like how things are, get a clipboard and run for office. And at the Women's March in Washington, Michael Moore gave a great speech and got everybody inspired to run for office, recounting when he was 18 and ran for his local school board. So, and I'm at a time in my career when I can take on, some extracurricular activities, and so I'm going for it.
You're taking on a whole lot. The other question I had for you was, what change do you want to make in Oak Park?
Well, one of the things I'm running on is environmental sustainability. So Oak Park is this great community that is full of a lot of activists and people who are willing to pay for things. Although property taxes is an issue, but I think we have the opportunity to become a model community in environmental sustainability, like getting more renewable energy sources and requiring food. One of the groups talked about food waste, requiring composting, and reducing waste. And so we have an environmental sustainability coordinator for the whole village, but I'm really looking forward to working with her to see how much more we can do.
That's exciting, too. The other question I had for you is, are you looking for any interns to help you get that position at the Village?
Yes, I am. But the election is April 2nd. So things have to happen fast, and they're really gearing up. And there are no political parties in Oak Park. So everyone's running as an independent, and they're not getting any help from parties, which means we're having to do a lot on our own. One thing is managing databases. And this Saturday, I have to start my door-to-door knocking on doors and flyering, and we got 10,000 flyers, and I'm looking for volunteers to flyer, and I'm looking for somebody to help me organize those people.
Okay, well, thank you so very much. I know you're on a tight schedule, and we wish you the best of luck in getting a political position in Oak Park.
All right,
Thank you so much.
At the Benedictine teach-in, racial justice through dialogue was one of the topics that consisted of a panel of people from all different races and religions. The panelists came together to share their experience with racism. After the panel took place, students did an interactive activity and were able to ask questions and share their stories with the person sitting next to them. Rian Baraki interviewed the vice president of the Black Student Union, Kaija Kamak, who took part in planning the event.
Kaija, tell me what this presentation is going to be a little bit about.
It's going to be a panel for just a various types of students that we have here on campus to be sharing their experiences and their encounters that they've had with racism from different perspectives.
And how do you feel like this panel is going to help change your school?
I feel like because there is someone of, I'm not saying of every type of person that there is, because that's a zillion type of people out there, but just because it is coming from various backgrounds, I feel like it's going to give students something to relate to, or maybe they understand something that they can relate to in regards to attacking racism.
And do you feel like this panel is almost necessary to have every semester, every year?
I think it's very necessary. As a Black woman, I have my perspective, but maybe as a Muslim woman, I'm not exactly for sure like what that looks like, racism for them, especially here in America, despite the fact that everybody thinks that they're a terrorist. So I think that it's something that's very necessary so people can understand that these are human beings too. All of us, we're all human beings, and we all have experiences, and we're all affected by this. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing everything this presentation has to bring to our school. Thank you, Kaija. Once again, this is Rian Baraki with BenU News.
Benedictine University hosted the Eco-Musicology Seminar during this year's teach-in. Presenting its subject matter, Messages Within Music, were Brittany Challey and Professor Peter Seeley. Ms. Challey spoke to our Eye of the Eagle reporter Sharif Tabaki about artists' responsibility to promote social issues pertinent to society, as well as her experience working with Professor Seeley.
This is Sharif Tabaki with BenU News, and I'm here with Brittany Challey, and we're here to speak about ecomusicology and social justice at the Benedictine Annual Teach-In. So Brittany, I wanted to first know what it was like working with Professor Seeley in this collaborative project.
Oh, I love working with Professor Seeley. He and I had a lot of the same ideas, and we had very similar thoughts when it came to writing our chapter. So working with him was very easy. We were able to just kind of integrate things, and we worked very well together. So
okay.
I would work with him again.
And in terms of symbolic representation, I want to know if you thought that today's ability to mix and alter music affects that in any way, in a good or maybe bad way. So a lot of like electronic music, or you can alter music, you can insert things that maybe you couldn't do in the past where it was just instruments to represent specific, maybe animals or creatures. Do you think that changes it at all?
I think that's an interesting point. I'm not sure that, I think the big thing is looking at specific intent of the music. And so I think altering the music, yes, has a different effect on it, but that also messes with the intent of the music. So I would say there's a change there, yes.
Okay. And do artists have a responsibility to tackle societal issues in their music, given their talent and opportunities?
I think that they do. I think we all have the societal responsibility to make our voice heard. That's why we vote. That's why we stand up at various events. So I think, yes, they do have that responsibility, as they have that ability to influence a large group of people and to really make their point heard.
Thank you very much for your time.
Additionally, Professor Seeley offered insight into the depictions of demographics and how they're reflected by a respective culture's period of time. Sharif got the scoop.
Professor Seeley, I wanted to know first, in regard to the coon music you spoke about, and followed by a surge in highly regarded black musicians, would you say that music endemic to a particular culture reflects its values and philosophies during certain periods of time?
Absolutely. In fact, the first example you mentioned of the coon songs, that really comes from the notion that record labels used to have that you could use terms like that coon and the N-word and others that are very insulting to groups of people without any consequence to the record company. And there were certain parts of the United States you could do that, market those kinds of records. In fact, they marketed them nationally. But and then there's the opposite, that the rap music, for example, in the latter part of the 20th century, as well as soul music and rock and roll in the early 70s, were very much a product of a kind of a middle-class culture in the case of the rock music. But in the case of rap, it's endemic to the urban environment from which it arose. So, absolutely.
And would you say music as a medium is a more palatable way to deliver social commentary on social justice and things of that nature?
I think it is, because music is one of those universal things, it seems, that not everybody watches movies, not everybody reads books, unfortunately, but music seems to be something that almost everyone has in common, and it's a simple and effective way to get messages across. And when there are messages about social justice and the environment, I think it's a very great thing for society that it can do that. It has a great power.
And finally, do you think that social justice issues delivered through music can be more poignant than, say, just more orthodox presentation?
Do you mean, like, what would you mean by orthodox presentation?
Or just standing up and giving a slideshow, sort of, but opposed to actually talking about issues through music, maybe it resonates with people.
Mm-hmm. Well, music hits you on a gut level, and one of the things that Brittany Challey talked about was the psychological implications of certain instruments and whether you play in major or minor keys. So just on a very fundamental level, music hits us in that way, in ways that simple, as you say, simple informational presentations do not. It hits us in the gut. It hits us emotionally. And so I think in that way, it's kind of superior to a lot of ways that you would present it.
Thank you very much for your time, Professor Seeley. This is Sri Tabak with Bennu News.
The Next Level event was held on March 2nd in the Goodwin Hall of Business. The objective of the event was to promote Benedictine University's graduate program to undergraduate students. The students got a chance to meet with the faculty who are involved in the graduate program and to learn about the master's program that Benedictine has to offer. Eye of the Eagles' Vios Karagianis spoke with Elizabeth Renish, program coordinator of the Master of Science in Management and Organizational Behavior at Benedictine, about the event.
This is Vios Karagianis from Bennu News. I'm here with Elizabeth Renish, who is part of the master's program here. She's an organizational program coordinator. Now, Elizabeth, could you explain to us about the event?
So what's really nice about the Next Level Up event is that it is run through Benedictine University to help provide the community as well as the undergraduate students here to know what that next level is. What is that next step in both their professional and their careers and their academic careers here. What's really nice about it is that we get to bring in actual faculty members, we'll bring in the staff at the university for the community members, for the undergraduate students to learn this is what they can go on to here at the university. What's really nice is that they'll get to see what the logistics are for the programs we have offered. We bring in all of our master's programs are represented here at the university. We've got organizational behavior, we've got the MBA, MSBA, we got Masters in Taxation, MPH, Nutrition and Wellness, and many more.
Now, what is the main purpose or main objective of this event?
I would say there are two main objectives, and the first and most important is just letting the community know what Benedictine has to offer, both academically and for professional development. And then the other one is just to help get new students into the university.
Thank you, Elizabeth. This is Vios Karagianis, Bennu News. Thank you.
Ben Talks are monthly dialogues hosted by students and created for students, staff, and faculty who are interested in participating in open and honest conversations. The talks are about relevant, complex issues our society and students face. This month's Ben Talk was called Latin X. Latin and Hispanic students were given a space free of judgment to talk about their experiences on campus, cultural expectations, and opportunities for involvement in the Latin community here at Benedictine. Eye of the Eagle's Ariana Poe spoke with student Alejandra about the event.
So my name is Ariana Poe and I'm with BenU News. I'm here with Alejandra and we just participated in a Ben Talk. This one was about Latinx. And I noticed that you talked a little bit about an event that you went to. It lasted about 3 days. Could you tell us a little bit about the event?
Yes, it's called El Futuro es Here. So it was about people who were in colleges, universities, so people my age. And it was mostly all Latinos. And we talked about how we could be heard more. Ways that we could use at school to get our word out more so that people would hear us more, that Latinos, Hispanics are becoming more of a majority than minority, and it starts, we have to change things now because the future is here. We are the future, so that means we have to start now and not, we'll keep pushing it off.
And Alejandra, if our Latino students watch this, how can they become more involved, or are there any communities or clubs that they could participate in?
I know there is a club called Alas, which is anyone's welcome, but it's usually more people, Latinos, Hispanics. There's also just joining any group. Like I'm involved in a lot of campus ministry things. So I go to mission trips. I went to the Philippines. I'm going to Bolivia this summer. So I just joining anything because there will be people there. So just not trying to stay in your own comfort zone and get out of it. And I'm sure we'll find more people to talk to, and it's possible. We just have to get out there.
Perfect. I love that. And thank you so much for the interview. And so the whole point of Ben Talk is to get more involved in your BenU community as a student, that we can make a difference, and just to open the conversation, right? So this is Ariana Poe with BenU News.
Do you have a love for art? Want a chance to appreciate the beauty of it? The Komachek Art Gallery is hosting the 2019 Graphic Art Exhibition, featuring work done by students of Dankook University, South Korea. This year's event takes place until April 13th on the 5th floor of Kinlan Hall. Eye of the Eagle's Isaiah Gransberry spoke with Ramon King about the event.
Hi, I'm Isaiah Gransberry here for Eye of the Eagle News, and we are here with
Ramon King.
We're here in the art gallery. Ramon is a student worker. So Ramon, tell me, what's going on here today?
So we have one of our exhibitions here is for graphic design. One of our associate workers here, her name is Haroe Han, and she's an exchange professor from South Korea. She has student artwork from South Korea with graphic design and media, public typography, and a few other things that kind of coincide with the exhibition we have here today.
Very nice, very nice. And with you being a student worker, what are some of the benefits you have working in here, getting to see all the different art exhibitions that come through?
First off, I think I'm getting cultured as I go along. I first started here, I had no clue about artwork, and it's been a blessing because I'm very well aware of different types of art and the importance or the different shades of different things that you see in different pieces of artwork, and it's been such a great blessing for me.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, there you have it. Isaiah Gransberry, Ramon King, Kinlan 5th floor, Eye of the Eagle News. Thank you.
The Jurikasuki Museum hosted the Enjoying Birds and Butterflies in Your Backyard event presented by the DuPage County Master Gardener Group. The program focused on pollinators and how to care for and identify birds and butterflies this coming spring. Carly Tuminello, the museum curator, spoke with Eye of the Eagle's Janelli Benitez about the event and a few of her favorite aspects of the museum.
I'm Janelle Benitez, and I'm here with Carly, that is in charge of the Natural Museum and the events that we have here on campus at Benedictine. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So can you tell us a little bit more about the event that's going to be holding on here later today?
Sure. We have a DuPage Master Gardener coming to do one of their new presentations called Enjoying Birds and Butterflies in Your Backyard. So focused on pollinators and the plants that you can help support them.
And they're all, of course, nature-based and with the animals and everything. So is there a specific event that we've done so far that is close to home for you, or one that you prefer the best?
In the fall season, we have a turtles event. We did the first one last semester, and that was wonderful. Then that's in conjunction with the Department of Biology and their turtle research that she's doing on campus. And then we also have coming up in September a wilderness survival training. So some really great information of, if you get stuck anywhere at any time, it has really great information of just, how to get yourself through tough situations. So.
And then, of course, aside from just having events, we have the entire museum here as a whole.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would recommend, just like some new or any, students or just, anyone that decides to come and visit the campus and the museum specifically? Is there anything that you'd recommend them to look for in their experience here?
Sure. We are open 7 days a week during the school year while students are on campus. So even on the weekends, there's time to explore. We do have some fun scavenger hunts, which are for all ages, and everyone enjoys those. Kind of gives a more focused view of things to look at in the museum. We do have some very rare specimens. Our whale is from 1861. Our polar bear is from 1841. So we have some very, very old, very rare kind of specimens here, including some things that you really can't see anywhere else, like our extinct and endangered case, I think is one of our pride and joys. Okay. We have 2 passenger pigeons, and those went extinct in 1914, and they're actually the reason why we have the Migratory Bird Act of 1918, is to help preserve migratory birds and conservation efforts for them. So. Yeah, there's some really, really interesting here. So, yes, there is. So always ask a docent, or somebody's always here to answer questions and kind of point out the really cool things that we have here. It really is a treasure.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Once more, I'm Janelle, and thank you for watching Eye of the Eagle with us.
On the first Sunday of March, Benedictine hosted a new Tea and Talk event in the Komachek Art Gallery on the 5th floor of Kinlan Hall. Laura Kina came to talk about the lost Okinawan tradition of Hajichi tattoos. This tradition symbolized a girl transitioning into womanhood. Each tattoo was a symbol, and these included an arrowhead, a sewing box, winding thread, and many others. These tattoos were important to the women of Okinawa. The tattoos were thought to ward off evil, ensure safety, and bring happiness. We now go to Austin Todner with Laura Kina to talk about the work with the tradition.
I like keeping traditions alive. I'm a very if you have a tradition, you should continue to bring it up and express it, because that is something that only you, your family, or another, or like the whole group all together is able to have. And I think traditions are a great thing to keep you one centered and level-headed, like with certain ideologies they have or something like that.
The focus is on Okinawan identity and history, and reframing Okinawan identity as indigenous and not just an ethnic minority of Japan. And so in this I was learning about the history of Hajichi tattoos. And it is something that's a history that's been hidden or covered up, and so we're bringing it out into the open more and to teach the next generation about it. I grew up in a very white community and very assimilated, and I didn't know much about our traditional culture or language. So part of this project is, it's like a big term, but it's decolonizing your mentality and your history. So it's not like I'm going to go back in time and become something else that I'm not. I'm exactly who I am, and a mixture, right? So this project we were learning about, it's written in Pidgin English, Hawaii Creole. So that was my dad's first language, but I didn't grow up speaking that language. So I worked with an author who wrote the book in that language. We translated it into Japanese and then this Okinawan language called Uchi-Noguchi. So it's a process of for us of learning, but also being able to access it from our moment now, our present moment, and point in time. So bringing that past into the present and having it be part of our future rather than trying to go back in time to some fantasy that maybe never existed in the first place.
That's the news for March. I'm Zachary Dunn.
And I'm Zakira Majid. Let's go over to sports with Mike Santarelli. So Mike, what else is going on in sports except for lacrosse?
Well, baseball and softball just returned home from their spring trips in Florida. Baseball went 6-4, while softball went 8-2. Stay tuned for sports, where we talk more lacrosse.
Welcome to East China Inn, a local food chain in the Chicagoland area. Relax and enjoy yourself with a complimentary pot of hot black tea. Try one of our many delicious appetizers like our hot and crispy crab ragoons. Enjoy something new like our Hong Su shrimp with vegetables and white rice. Feel free to order takeout if you can't dine in with us. Come visit us at East China Inn on 130 Wilson Street in Batavia.
I'm Mike Santarelli, and in sports, you guessed it, we've got more lacrosse. The women's team took on Aquinas College on March 11th. Starting the 2019 season 0-2, the Eagles struggled to get something rolling. After coming out strong in the first half, the Eagles fell short by 1. Eye of the Eagles' Alex Mitchell spoke with senior Samantha Tukalski following the tight matchup.
Hello, I'm Alex Mitchell, and I'm here with
Samantha Tukalski.
And Samantha. You guys just took on Aquinas, and you guys just ended up losing by 1 point. But at one point, you guys were going back and forth with them for a while. What can you guys tell us about your game plan at halftime?
At halftime, we just kind of attacked it on, stepping up our strategy, stepping up our hustle. I think the biggest thing is we had to come out, we had to light a fire under ourselves, and just attack it as hard as we could.
Yeah, definitely seemed like a very high-energy game out there. What can you tell us about your guys' defense? At times, it looked like they were getting to you guys, but then it seemed towards the end of the game, you guys really seemed to lock it down.
Yeah, I think at the end of it, we just had to get out of our heads. We had to really step up our game, big body defense, and once we started to do that, then we got on top of it.
Sounds good. Were there any key performers from today that you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, just a shout out to our other senior, Madison Horan. She's her first game back after an injury, and she came after it hot, and she was, really good on the field, well awareness. So.
She definitely was. And then, so we just want to ask you, when can the Benedictine fans expect to see the Lady Eagles next?
We'll be here Wednesday at 4 p.m. against Marian University.
Sounds good. There you have it. Good luck. I'm Alex Mitchell, and this is BenU News.
Eye of the Eagles' Tommy Tillett spoke with sophomore attacker Tori House of the women's team to get some of her thoughts on their season thus far and what is to come for the future.
I'm Tommy Tillett for Eye of the Eagle, and I'm here with Tori House, sophomore attacker for the Benedictine women's lacrosse team. Tori, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. So you guys played Aquinas the other night on Monday, and I just want to ask you a few questions about that game. So first things first, how do you guys feel you did, as a team? What did you guys do well? What didn't you guys do well? And what worked?
We came out really strong off the draw. Everyone gave 100% that game. We all worked hard. Some things that we could do better on are just our transitioning, just marking up on the girls up the field and being open for the clear passes from our goalies. Yeah.
Awesome. So that being said, what are you guys going to work on in practice to make yourselves better and improve yourselves for the rest of the season?
During practice, we're going to work on marking up in the midfield and cutting back towards the middle for the ball during clears and transitions. Being loud and communicating, because sometimes we get quiet and communication is key.
And lastly, how do you think the rest of your season is going to go, assuming that you guys do all those things that you said?
We play a lot of new teams in our conference this year, so any game we could win. We just have to put 100% in, and hopefully we have 2 girls out right now with concussions, so hopefully they'll be better and we'll have more subs and just keep working hard.
Awesome. Thanks, Tori. I really appreciate it. Good luck the rest of the season. I'm Tommy Tillett for Eye of the Eagle.
The momentum of the Benedictine men's lacrosse team was halted with a surprising loss to Kalamazoo College on March 2nd. Tommy Tillett led the team, tailing 3 goals. After the game, the Eagles had a record of 1-2, but bounced back and are currently on a 2-game winning streak with wins over Marian University and the University of Dubuque. Eye of the Eagles' Joey Spahn caught up with Tillett after the game to talk about his performance from the game and where the Eagles are headed for the rest of the season.
I'm Joey Spahn with Eye of the Eagle, here with attackman Tommy Tillett.
How's it going, Joey?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
Good. Last night, the men's lacrosse team played against Kalamazoo and ended up losing. How do you feel about that game? How do you think it went?
Well, obviously it's a hard-fought game by both teams. Unfortunately, we couldn't come out on top. As a team, we came out flat. We didn't play as well as we should have, and we didn't bring the fire that we needed to, and it showed. Kalamazoo was able to capitalize on our mistakes, and just kept burying us deeper and deeper. And as a team, that's something we really need to focus on. We need to focus on getting ourselves mentally prepared for each and every game, no matter who the opponent is. And we need to focus on ourselves and make sure that we're able to do the things that we need to do as a team.
Well spoken. Now that's 2 losses for the men's lacrosse team in a row. How do you think this loss is going to help you bounce back, hopefully, for the upcoming season or the rest of the season?
Honestly, I think it just gives us a chance to clear our minds. Coming into this season, especially with the coaching change, we were all excited to play under our new coaching staff, Coach Button, Coach Devin, and Coach Jack. They brought a new mindset to our team. They brought a new mindset to the entire program that says, we're going to push ourselves and we're going to win every single game. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but it gave us a well-needed reality check to let us understand how we play against each other and how we work with each other and how we play through adversity. Honestly, it's always a struggle it's always a struggle losing. It's always a struggle trying to get back on the winning train. But I think confidently we can do it. I think we have the talent to do it, and I think that we're going to do it.
Awesome. And now to end up on a lighter note, what is your favorite aspect about being on the men's lacrosse team?
Honestly, the family aspect. I've never met a better group of guys. I haven't had more fun in my entire life. I love everybody on the team. I love playing the game. I love, being around the guys. I love the coaching staff. It just makes me feel like I'm at home where I'm supposed to be, and that really helps in all aspects of life, school, sports, and outside.
Life of a student athlete. I agree. This has been Eye of the Eagle with Joey Spahn. Thank you.
I'm Mike Santarelli, and that's all we have for sports. Tune in to next month's show where we transition from lacrosse over to the baseball field.
Welcome to the Naperville Art League, a nonprofit organization created to support and sustain the development and diversity of all forms of art. Become a member and participate in art classes, workshops, and exhibits. We are dedicated to providing art instruction and raising awareness. Join us at our yearly Riverwalk Art Fest as artists from across America showcase their artwork. Find us at 508 North Center Street, Naperville, Illinois.
Welcome back to In the Spotlight with your host, Zachary Dunn.
Hello, everyone. I'm still Zachary Dunn, and we're still here with Ms. Casimo. Ms. Casimo, one of the things I wanted to ask you about were some of the success stories that have come through the Academic Career and Enrichment Center, be it on the student services side or on the career assistance side.
Well, I have many. Obviously, when you work with students who are trying to get that first internship or that first job, there are a lot of success stories that come through the door. I guess one more recent one that I can think about, and I'd like to probably mention one from career and one from academic support.
Absolutely.
One recent one that I can think about is in the fall we had our fall interview day, and this is targeted for College of Business majors where they actually get selected for interviews here on campus, and it was sponsored by what's called CCCI. It's our College Career Consortium. 20 private colleges are part of this. We brought it back to Benedictine, which was great for us. So we had students from all over the state of Illinois here interviewing. We had one of our own students that day that was selected for 8 interviews. And she ended up, and this is a student that has truly done everything she needed to do to get prepared. She did internships, she was involved in clubs and organizations, she volunteered, and through that fall interview day, she landed a great job with this company called Wifley, which is a accounting, tax, and consulting company. So she did fabulous. So to us, that's when anybody can get 8 interviews in one day, that's a real success story, because that's usually unheard of. Students might get 2, 3, or maybe 4 at the most, but that tells you that our students are really competitive, and all of these things that they've done during their 4 years have really prepared them to get their foot in the door and get out there and get into the workforce.
So I imagine you saw her a lot in the...
We did, yeah. So she had her resume reviewed and everything, worked with our career counselors and everything. She really did everything she was supposed to do to be prepared, which is what we always tell students, you know, make sure that you see us early in the process so that you're ready when you get in front of an employer. It's really important. The second one I want to mention is our writing specialist. She often will review personal statements for students that are thinking of going on to graduate school. It's very important that you start early in the process to start putting those applications out, getting those personal statements reviewed. And she had a student, again, that she worked with that had her personal statement. She started early in the process, had it reviewed, and she wrote her and said, hey, I got into Lewis University for one of their programs. So I think those are real success stories because students don't always use the services that are available to them. And these are two people that started early in the process and as a result produced a lot of success.
Absolutely. Those are wonderful stories. Is there anything you'd like students to know going into the 2019 semester here? Just wrapping it up.
I guess what I want them to know is that we're here all year long, even during the summer, and they should really, the services are free to them, and they should take advantage of them, right? Pay attention to the ACE webpage. This is where we post all our events. We have a wonderful virtual job posting system where they can see all the internships and all the great opportunities that are coming through, and then schedule appointments with some of the advisors and learning specialists that are in our center that are waiting to see them to help them be successful.
Wonderful. Sounds like a great resource. Thank you for joining us today. This has been In the Spotlight with Zachary Dunn and Julie Casimo.
If you won the lottery,
If you won the lottery,
If you won the lottery,
what's the first thing you would buy?
Probably a house or a nice car, to be honest.
Do you know what car if you would buy?
I'm a big fan of the Ford Raptor.
Oh, okay, I feel it. I feel it.
Or a Lambo, if you really want to flex. You know,
Surprisingly, I wouldn't really spend the money on anything. I would just put it all towards a charity of my choice, which would probably be St. Jude's.
Oh, that's very kind.
I would buy a lot of dogs because dogs are better than humans.
Probably some AirPods. I wouldn't be considered poor anymore.
Either more parking for Kinlan or a new locker room for the baseball team.
you're doing God's work. Not bad.
Lamborghini, easy.
I'll buy myself on my own island because I really don't like people, so.
I'd probably buy a golf course.
Very nice.
I'm buying me an island.
Where's the island gonna be?
Hey, don't worry about it. Just know if you get that invite, we finna be lit. We doing big things.
All right, thank you.
We want to know, what's your best pickup line?
Your best pickup line?
So what is your cheesiest pickup line?
Did you? Hold on, wait. I need to think about this.
I don't use pickup lines because they all just come to me.
Nice.
If you were a fruit, you would be a pineapple.
Whoa, I like apples, so let's.
Do you have a map? Because I'm lost in your eyes.
Is your name Google? Because you have all I'm searching for.
Hey girl, you better tie your shoes. I don't want to see you falling for anyone else.
I seem to have lost my number, so can I have yours?
Sure.
My best pickup line? Oh, I'm rusty. I'm married 25 years, so.
You could still use them on your wife.
You know what? You're probably right. I can use some brushing up there.
How you doing?
Are you made of copper and tellurium because you are cute?
Wow, I can tell what major you are.
What's your best pickup line?
Oh no, there's something wrong with my phone. It doesn't have your number in it.
If I were to rearrange the alphabet, I would put you and I together.
Are you a parking ticket? Because you got fine written all over you.
Nice.
Real men don't have to use pickup lines. You let your personality speak for itself.
All right, smooth man, smooth man.
I know. You're right. Okay, don't laugh. Okay.
We're done, and here are the stories this month. Top stories this month. Here are the going-ons around campus this month.
Was halted with a surprise.
I spoke with Raymond King about the event. I said Raymond! I did, sorry.
Today's show is sponsored by Mountain Dew's Amp Energy. With an amp, anything's possible.
Did Zakira say top stories? Yeah. Okay. Do we have bottom stories? Is it? What? Do we have bottom stories? Is it?
Here are today's bottom stories.
Yeah. There's all the stuff no one cares about.
I went 8-2. Stay tuned for sports where we talk more lacrosse. Dope. Talk more lacrosse.
Did you hear Brunt back there? To talk about her work with this tradition. I almost started laughing because I spit. I almost started laughing.